All right, team, a bunch of awesome improvements this week. Let's get started. The team at 424 made these quick multiplication tables so that the pullers don't have to pull out their phone to do that multiplication. They just have a quick reference right there where they need it. Great job, guys. Also at 424, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like you put that stop there so you don't have to measure standard crossouts when you're cutting for your bundles. Just eliminates the step of having to pull out the tape measure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that looks great. In Mount Juliet, putting the answer where the question is for drivers so they know where to go. This is a great improvement on communication for our vendor drivers. And Levi and the whole team at Mount Juliet did a ton of work 3S'ing the special order area. They deal with a lot of special order hardware for commercial jobs, and it was a bit of a mess. It is not a mess now. Looks awesome, guys. Way to go. And thank you, Wes in Mount Juliet, for this improvement. Labeling where the truck keys go for each truck saves that 2 seconds of sorting through keys to find which ones you need. Thank you, Wes. Dell created a quick reference sheet for blocking loading. This saves him 2 seconds, and I imagine it does some other guys on the design team as well. Thank you, Dell. We got Lloyd and Eli from the service and install team running to the sound of gunfire, helping out their buddies in logistics at Beasley, and this delivery is looking stellar as always. Thank you, guys. Lots of great improvements with this chop saw station at the customer service counter at Beasley. It was tucked behind this pole, so we moved it to the end cap. Just way easier to use, makes a lot more sense. Also made a spot for the hammer that kept disappearing, shadow boxed it so you could easily see if it was there or not, and improved the dust collection with a little wagon to catch everything, make it easy to dispose of. Lots of great improvements here, guys. Great job identifying waste and doing something about it. Had an issue at Beasley where the best spot to store some units of linear trim was blocking the control box to one of the roll-up doors. So Lance helped us by moving that. Lance is always all over the place, making huge improvements for everybody. Thank you, Lance. Something that's continuing to improve at Beasley is getting the right stuff in the right spot, getting rid of dead inventory that we don't need, and making sure that the items you pull are in the most efficient spot. Just more of that going on here in the linear racks. Great job, guys. Love to see it. Another good improvement to the Magnum, the new exterior door machine. Dean had already improved it by marking left hand and right hand, but it was a little small and hard to see. Matt just improved that by making it big, bold, and mistake-proof. Way to go, Matt. Here's Greg just setting the standard for what 3S excellence looks like in the copy room. You look at this and you're like, oh, it doesn't look that bad. Looks halfway organized. And then you look at this. Got everything out that didn't need to be there. Got everything in its place. Labeled everything. Just looks incredible. Thanks for setting the standard, Greg. Let's try Kanban on that thing as the next step. Got the OSHA recommended high-vis seatbelts installed at Beasley. So if you haven't seen those at your location, it is coming to a forklift near you. Kevin and the guys in Windows Receiving were bugged by having to look for ratchet straps, so they created a standard drop-off point, so when the guys on the dock are loading windows on a truck, they can take those straps that they free up, drop them off, and Kevin and the guys in Windows Receiving can grab them and take them to a standard location, so you always have what you need. Thank you, Kevin. Wilson and the guys in the Beasley warehouse improved the receiving paperwork process. Getting things received into the system accurately is a big, hairy deal, and so tracking the paperwork for that is huge. Just created a standard location for everything so nothing gets missed or lost. Thank you, Wilson. We've been talking about color coding things to make it difficult to make a mistake. Just making things more visual like that, I think, is a win. Dean making this happen with the interior versus exterior index bars. Just love this, Dean. Great job. Sean 3S and his paperwork for trim at Beasley when he's cutting casing. This is the way it was before. This is the way it is now. Everything has a spot, much cleaner, easier to keep up with. Way to go, Sean. Daryl made a great improvement on warranty items for homeowner-occupied lots. Just keeping up with their name and number associated with which lot goes a long way with customer feeling heard of just knowing their name when you pick up the phone. This is great. An improvement of an improvement here in Hinges. First, label the locations of everything, and then the idea had to put an example of the hinges, just like we've done in trim, and the guys acted super fast and got that standard put up. Just really cool stuff here, guys. Way to go. Ryan showing us the new standard for empty trim pallets. It used to sit right here in front of where they pull, and that just became a little bit in the way. So they moved it over to some space created when Narrowgate left. They Kaizen cornered it. It just looks awesome, guys. The guys picking for walk-in customers at Beasley were having to hunt for carts to pull trim onto. This was leaving customers waiting, so we fixed that by having a standard cart for customer service. In wall panels, Austin's showing us how oversized openings that are too big to go down to the rollers to the exterior line, they had a station for delivering those to the builders, but it just wasn't quite big enough, creating a little bit of a hassle when handling those oversized openings. So they just improved it by making it a little bit bigger. Looks great. OSHA let us know that the nozzle coming off the air compressor we were using to blow sawdust off our clothes at the end of the day was not safe, so replaced it with this little handheld blower. Thanks for taking this stuff seriously, guys. So here's another example of worst it will ever be. So our newest floor line came with a shelf that kind of hangs that you put plates in, but it's just kind of this oversized wire mesh, not really useful for a lot of anything. Kind of curious that it even came that way. But we have lined it with OSB, labeled what plates go where, and even color coded it to make it easy to read. Great improvement, guys. So we continue to make improvements to the sawdust situation at the web saw. Took plastic and lined a bunch of these openings, like where waste comes out at the bottom and just where there's cracks and stuff. Even put a gasket where you open up to get to the motors and stuff like that. Just trying to continue to improve the dust situation on this saw. Looks great, guys. Thank you. So really great communication improvement from JC and the office team here at the truss plant. Communication between the shop floor and the office is huge. And so they took this on-done light instead of just text messages and emails. That light's green if everything's running smooth. It is red if there's a hot item that needs to be addressed. And it's yellow if there's just new jobs added that need to be scheduled. And Lance made that happen for us and put up an American flag. So thank you, guys. And on the subject of communication, I think Greg and Omar deserve credit for this board, but this is just a board that shows status of maintenance projects, or they could be lean projects, anything that you need maintenance help on, rather than having to find Omar or Jason or Jose or Umberto to ask, hey, where's this at, where's that? They made a board that can quickly give a status update to the team so nobody's left wondering. Thank you guys for this improvement. And last but not least, Mr. Derek Way, showing us some documentation that he put together on job flow in BizTrack from the coordinator's role. Derek, Jeffrey probably wants to give you a hug. This kind of documentation, this standardization is stuff we need to take across Husky. Thanks for taking the time to put this together and share it with your teammates. You're awesome. And there's another week, guys. Thank you for all the great improvements. I love that we're learning to see waste in a lot of different ways. So many good sorting improvements, standardization improvements, communication improvements, weighting improvement, just all the different ways that we're learning to identify waste. And that's really why we do these videos, so that everybody gets exposure to what's going on in other places and learns to see waste from maybe somebody else's perspective that they can apply to what they do. Keep it up, guys. This is super fun. Again, videos, horizontal, tell the story better. Thanks for everybody who's joined Signal in the past week, and feel free to contribute. Thanks.